Our next speaker is Oksana Wilcox with Qualcomm. Oksana is going to talk to us about the Dragonboard C, which is Qualcomm's IoT development board. It's kind of a departure for Qualcomm. It's distributed through Arrow Electronics, and the company has already made a lot of strides with a lot of startups, and I think we're going to really enjoy this presentation. Oksana?
Thank you very much. I'm responsible for product planning for a set of processors that we the Qualcomm dedicate for mass market and IoT. IoT is a very big word and very generic word, so what we do for enabling some of the chipsets, we actually call that space mass market or long tail. So what does a mobile company do at the Enterprise IoT Summit? One simple answer: we are capitalizing on our mobile investment and mobile IP that we have in the space, and tremendous amount of experience, billions of chipsets delivered to mobile devices. While we introduced some of the Snapdragon processors into the mass market and IoT, we had to really look at the differences and the challenges that IoT space and the customer base presents. Things that are important are the relationship, going from the typical OEM relationship of one-on-one, very high-touch, direct support, tens of thousands of volumes sold, to low-touch, online web type of services, selling the chipsets for distribution, having hundreds of thousands of customers that buy hundreds of units of chipsets to thousands of units that add up to a large volume, but nonetheless needing to support a tremendously larger customer base that has lesser expertise in engineering application processors into the end devices than an OEM for mobile devices that tablets would do. So considering all of those very important elements, we made a decision to introduce a subset of Snapdragon processors for the IoT space. Our focus was on offering chipsets that span from low-end to mid-tier to high-end, and being able to offer two very important things for those chipsets: being able to offer them as a catalog part through a distribution channel, as well as offering longevity. That's key for this industry, longevity up to 10 years. So the two chipsets that are currently available through our distribution partner, Arrow Electronics, are Snapdragon 410E and Snapdragon 600E. And if you're wondering, E stands for extended life. We offer this chipset and commitment for availability of all parts involved in the chipset through 2025, which is 10 years from the time the chipsets became available to customers. The higher end tier currently, the discrete chipset is not yet available in the channel. We're undergoing the process of enablement of that chipset that I will talk about a little bit later on. It does take significantly longer time. However, the systems on module and SBCs that our ecosystem partners have already produced are available off the shelf for commercializations for customers that might not be looking necessarily for a 10-year lifespan for their product. Really quickly, you could go on to Qualcomm.com or developer.qualcomm.com and learn tremendously more than I can present here in 15 minutes about those chipsets. But this basically kind of shows you the capabilities of both of them that are available through Arrow Electronics from Qualcomm side by side. If you go onto our site, you'll be able to find a lot of hardware documentation and application notes that talk about the chipsets and the specifications and the hardware registers as well. So I do encourage you to go look at that. It's very important. So from making a decision and bringing the chipset to the channel, really this was just the first step in enabling of our processors in the mass market. One of the things we understood that we needed to do is to create a community board, or really an IoT kit, whatever you call that, for the Snapdragon 410, which was our first chipset that we made available to mass market. We had created a Dragonboard 410C. C stands for community. Our intention is to have a Dragonboard, which is kind of a trademark of Qualcomm, so you could call it an IoT board. It's the pretty much development kit, as we all know it. Our intention is to make a development kit for each processor that we put through the channel. So the two next development kits that are coming up are Dragonboard 600C and then Dragonboard 820C variant, basically higher end, premium end Dragonboards. If you're interested, please stay in touch with us through our developer site. We'll be announcing the launch of those platforms probably later this quarter. But the Dragonboard 410C is currently selling through Aero Electronics. It is selling for $75. You do need to buy a power supply, which is an additional $10 or $11, but it's a very affordable board. It's running, it's a quad-core processor-based board running 1.2 gigahertz, per core, has integrated GPS, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth connectivity, various I/O connectors, and it's been quite a popular board for folks that are interested in either doing projects like makers or developers, doing software development on this processor, but as well as end customers that are trying to just understand the processors. We're still relatively new in this space. It's a very good evaluation kit. So while we call this a community board, we didn't intend this board to just be a community board and not have a path to commercialization. We're in the business of selling chipsets. We're in the business of supporting customers to taking them to market. So the ecosystem that we are continuing to advance in for the mass market customers includes a number of partners that actually create systems on modules, SBCs, and provide engineering and customization services to end customers. So as we know, a number of customers in the verticals that qualify as IoT, when they do a chip-down design, they won't have the type of engineering, AP, chipset expertise that an OEM would, and I've talked about that a little bit earlier. But through the ecosystem partnerships that we have today, folks that actually have licensing agreements with Qualcomm, they can offer those types of services to those customers. The beauty of that is that a small company that's just trying to connect their devices to the internet, that decides they also need intelligence and they want to have a Qualcomm processor in it, not need to sign a complicated, heavy licensing agreement with Qualcomm. Instead, they could buy a chip either through Aero or buy a module directly for a number of STPs. And among those are eInfochips, Enforce, Intrinsic, VeriSight. I don't know if we actually have any of them here at this event. But that's a very big element of enabling the marketplace, where you don't have to go and struggle through tremendous legal agreements with companies the size of Qualcomm, or anyone for that matter, any other semiconductor company. Let's see. Moving from the hardware, as I just talked about, our boards that are development kits, to the software that's supported on those boards, our software support really stretches from different operating systems that we support on the devices, to integration with middleware, to support of various cloud APIs. From the on-device OS, we support Android. Actually, the Dragonboard 410C board ships with Android M on it. It will be upgraded to Android N in the near future. It also supports Linux, various distributions, Ubuntu Core, Debian, Open Embedded. Those changes to the software could be made through simple side loading and swapping up the software. It also runs Windows 10 IoT Core, and there's a number of industries and a number of IoT space that is very interested in working with the Windows operating system more so than Linux or Android, so we support that as well. From the middleware perspective, we are integrated with AllJoint. We integrate with IBM Watson IoT, and our boards, at least the 410C, run robotics operating system. We just heard a presentation from an AT&T product manager talking about M2X. It does run on our board as well, as you can see here. We're integrated with AWS IoT. There's actually a kit that you could buy from Amazon right now by just putting in Dragonboard AWS. It's slightly more expensive, but it's actually running Linux and is integrated with AWS APIs. There is a Bluemix recipe for IBM Bluemix that also runs on Dragonboard, not to brag, but it's just the list of items that I have to go through, as well as there has been an integration with Microsoft Azure. So that kind of covers the breadth of the software. So when a developer or a company that's more familiar with Microsoft versus Linux versus Android, the story here is they basically have a choice in types of operating systems and cloud services that they could work with by using our hardware. There is the board. You finally actually see it after I've talked about that. So all of our community boards are developed to the 96 boards Open Hardware CE specification. If you guys are familiar with Linaro organization, they've established a team that sets out the enterprise and consumer edition specifications for open hardware, and all of our boards comply to that. And the benefits of that is that any developer, any manufacturing company that wants to design additional accessories or mezzanine cards that work with this specification actually will have a product that will run across all the boards that are offered by this organization. So the 410C board, the future 600 board, the future 820 some plus C board will also be compliant to this specification and available for working with various accessories and mezzanines. And actually, on that note, I'd like to show you just a few more things. For folks that are interested in the Dragonboard, there's two community sites that we run and participate in that have tremendous amount of resources to get started with this product specifically. One is the Qualcomm site. It's developer.qualcomm.com. It focuses on providing application notes and how-tos, instructions. It also hosts our proprietary software bootloaders and board support package that folks might need in order to rebuild images if they needed to do so. And it has a place for all the various projects that we host that developers and makers and actually employees and other companies share with us in terms of fun things that they do with the board. The actual community support site supporting this product specifically and our future Dragonboard products is actually hosted by Linaro. It's 96boards.org. That site is all-inclusive. This is where you go to get started with the board. This is where you go to get the software builds, to replace the software builds for all the latest and greatest. That's the place to go. So please visit those sites for us. And I've touched earlier on mezzanine boards. It's just really a snapshot as I wanted to show the breadth and availability of various accessories. If you just have a board and you don't have an HDMI display, then you can't go very far. So fortunately, those things are available, and they will work with all the additional development kits running higher-end processors as well. Just a few things to touch on as they kind of feel impressive to me that do run with our board, but we're done by other companies almost basically without even our knowledge. They're just going in, picking up the board, reading the spec, reading the app notes, and designing, as an example, this AeroCore 2 designed by Gumsticks, which has been used in various drone projects. And we've actually seen our board with AeroCore board fly in a mini drone in one of our labs. One thing I wanted to mention is just for folks that are interested in any kind of vision type based applications, camera applications that use camera, security, home surveillance type applications. Very, very soon Aero Electronics will be selling a Dragonboard kit that will have a mezzanine board enabling the use of MIPI CSI YUV camera that's basically off the shelf. It'll be all packaged up, price is coming soon, and the date is probably sometime this quarter. So please keep watching the aero.com site for that. And I think this may be my last slide. We had sponsored UCSD. I know we're actually based out of San Diego, so it's easier for us to work with some of the schools there. We do a lot of university programs. We donate the boards. We encourage the use of our hardware in curriculum, in competitions, and hackathons. And as part of this project, we actually sponsored the course. It's currently running on Coursera.org. It's the, as you know, an online education company. And it's a 1-month course with a capstone program that allows you to get a specialization in designing your own IoT applications and products. And it is based on Dragonboard. So it's a really great way to learn about the product and the processor and how it's used in IoT applications. I think that was my last slide. One thing I did want to mention to you guys, we are running a sweepstake and giving away the boards. So at 5 o'clock is our first drawing for folks that come by our booth. Our booth 140 is just down that aisle. If you come by our booth and register, you have a chance to win a board at 5 o'clock today or 3:30 tomorrow. So thank you.
Do we have questions for Oksana?
Oh, yes,
questions?
if there's any questions.
I've actually got a couple.
Okay.
Do you have any examples? I know that there's a lot of interest from the startup community in this board. Do you have any examples of prototypes that have been developed? I know that There was one, at least I heard about, that was like a sleep monitor for kids.
Yeah, the kinetic care, yes. So we've actually showed some of those examples at some of the trade shows. So the best way to find out is actually going on to developer.qualcomm.com and looking up Dragonboard and their projects. But so, as I think somebody had asked a presenter from Telit, what industry do you see most of the interest in? What do people do? And what we honestly see is that it's all over the place. And that's why we never say we associate with one particular vertical. That's why we don't even call it a specific industry. We call it mass market, because you could have people that come to you with baby monitor and some things you never even heard of. They would actually go and design. There's home automation, there's home surveillance, there is digital signage, there is like healthcare, as I just mentioned. So it's just, the next nest is coming.
And do you see mostly startup developers, or do you see corporate interest like Richard was talking about?
No, we see tremendous amount of corporate interest. So we work with Arrow Electronics as our distribution channel for the Dragonboards as well as for the chipsets. So they actually sell, they are a sales channel to sell the chipsets in the marketplace, and we see tremendous amount of interest in commercial space for commercial applications for the chipset.
And you may have said this, but is there an Arduino shield for this that's available?
Yes, there are. Any of Shield's 96 boards are compatible with our board. That's the beauty of the 96 board CE specifications. So if they're built to that spec, then they're expendable to our board.
Oksana Wilcox, thank you very much.